Shit, I'm starting to like this. You know what time it is, Colts fans. Welcome back once again to the bullshit-free Colts podcast, the number one podcast in the world for all things Indianapolis Colts news, commentary, and of course, this is where you're going to hear what's up with our beloved Indianapolis Colts. 100% straight, no chaser, no coach speak, no fucking PC, PR spin, and especially no bullshit. So let's jump right into it, because if you watched that game yesterday between the Colts and the Jets, you got to be feeling pretty fucking good today. And I'm going to tell you, don't let anybody make you feel bad about it. Enjoy this fucking win, because the Colts put a good old-fashioned pig fuck on the New York Jets yesterday. They beat that ass badly. And look, the Jets may not be that great, but you can't really fake what the Colts put down yesterday. But to be fair, again, if we're keeping it real, we're keeping it a buck, we're keeping it 100% bullshit free. Like 3 games in, the Colts are sitting at 2-1. They've had 2 blowout wins, and they have had 1 really disappointing loss. But the thing that all 3 teams they've played have had in common is that they're not very good. So, like, it is a question that must be asked as we think about this. I mean, at this point, we gotta ask, are the Colts just lucky as fuck, or are they actually really good? Now, we're going to dive into that question in detail, but like I said, enjoy that fucking good old-fashioned beatdown that the Colts put on the New York Jets yesterday, and don't let anybody make you feel bad about it, because, you know, anybody that wants to talk shit and say, oh, well, look who they played and all that bullshit, well, let me ask you this. Would you rather be 0-3? Would you rather play tough teams and be 0-3 like the fucking Texans? Ask the Texans. Hey, would you like to switch your places? You want to switch records, swap records with the Colts? Or you feeling good about being 0-3 because, yo, we played a hard schedule? Man, fuck that. It's hard to win any game in the NFL every single week. And, you know, 2-1 puts us 1 game behind the Tennessee Titans in our division. So we are on track to make the first goal, not the ultimate goal of this year. The ultimate goal of this year is to win a Super Bowl. But the first goal is get in the playoffs. And the only way to be sure, absolutely sure you can do that, is win your division. So the first goal is win the division. The Colts, after, a fucking fucked up ass loss in the first game to Jacksonville that had us all a little worried, they have at least to this point righted themselves, got themselves to 2-1. They're right back in the hunt. Houston's 0-3, so they have really fallen behind, and the Jags have lost 2 straight, so they're 1-2. So we're right where we want to be right now, if we can go on the road and beat Chicago next week. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we start even thinking about Chicago or fighting over this question of whether the Colts are actually lucky or good, let's revisit, as always, yesterday's game against the New York Jets right here in the home stadium, Lucas Oil Stadium. Let's break down the good, the bad, and the ugly as always. Number 1, let's talk about the good shit first. Look, here's the truth. However you slice it up, regardless of who they played, the defense is fucking looking dominant. They're looking fucking dominant at this point. They're playing with confidence. They're flying around. They're playing fast. And my favorite thing, they're playing aggressive. They completely dismantled the New York Jets yesterday, held the Jets to just 7 points, and actually outscored the entire Jets offense. The Colts defense put up 16 points yesterday, 2 pick sixes and a safety. The Jets only were able to muster one touchdown, and that touchdown looked like it happened on a broken communication in the Colts secondary. But hey, the defense is balling right now, and I'm not fucking mad at them at all because, for anybody that's again wanting to be fucking Debbie Downer ass, look, I'll take this. We've been years now lamenting this fucking defense not able to stop anybody, teams moving up and down the field at will, scoring at will. So I'm not going to sit here and fucking cry about look who they played when our defense is balling out. They're the number one defense in the league right now. I'm loving that shit. The secondary, another thing that's great, the secondary, which is the part of the defense that I was worried about most going into this season, I still think they're the piece of the defense that I'm most concerned about. Might not hold up, or I'm not sure they're going to hold up, but they're looking better and better. They looked great last week. They looked really even better this week. Rhodes with 2 interceptions and a pick 6. You had T.J. Carey get a pick 6. So they came up with 3 interceptions yesterday. They knocked down multiple passes. Darius Leonard knocked down a couple passes. Secondary is looking really good, and this is the second game now. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to fucking, create no controversy and be on no clickbait hot take shit. But we do have to say this is the second game they have not had Rock Ya-Sin playing, and the secondaries look much better. Now, I'm not at the point, anywhere near the point where just to be Mr. Hot Take, I'm going to say they're better without him, as I've heard some dumb motherfuckers trying to say already. We shall see. But they have looked better the last 2 weeks, much, much better without him. But let's also remember that the other change that's happened these last 2 weeks is Julian Blackmon has moved into the starting lineup at free safety as opposed to Malik Hooker. And, Blackmon looked good yesterday again. He and Khari Willis were striking, making hits. It was great to see. I mean, really aggressive. Khari Willis was blowing up plays. Great to see. Another great thing, Eberflus has finally adjusted and become more aggressive. They're playing more man. They're playing more zone man. They're playing up closer. They're playing more press coverage. He's still not blitzing as much as I would like to see. Not that I want to see him go crazy, but I would like to see a few more blitzes. But he did bring a few yesterday, and they were great to see. That being said, look, fucking Justin Houston, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, and Danico Autry are fucking raising hell. They're getting good pressure, particularly against the Jets. They're getting great pressure with just those 4, and that's what you love to have, particularly in this defense. So I'm not mad at him. Another great thing, Phillip Rivers. I mean, a lot of hate was coming his way, a lot of doubt coming his way before this season, and rightfully so to some degree. I mean, he threw the fucking ball to the other team way too much last year. But, the way I look at that is, look, I mean, out of 16 years, you can't just pull out one season and be like, oh, this dude's trash. That said, I understand why people were concerned because he's 38 fucking years old and they're like, hey, he might be done. So far, so good. Rivers is super accurate. He was hit his passes at an 80% accuracy clip yesterday. I think he's like 76 or 77% accurate on the season. That's fucking that's outstanding. That's crazy. And what I'm most excited about is that these last 2 games, after he himself said, interceptions ain't going to be a problem going forward. The last 2 games, he has not made any crazy fucking head-scratching throws that make you wonder if he's either on cocaine or throwing the game. He took care of the ball. He got rid of the ball fast. I mean, he gets rid of the ball super fast and makes great decisions, particularly these last 2 games. No bonehead throws. So I'm really happy to see that. It's not a whole lot bad you can say about a game where you beat a team down 36-7 and you get 16 of those points from your defense, and it should have been 39-7, but your place kicker missed a 41-yard field goal. It's not a whole lot bad to say about that, especially when you mix in 3 sacks and 3 interceptions, 2 pick sixes. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, let's not be stupid about this shit. When shit is working, it's working. Give credit where it's due. Don't be running around looking for rain to fall on your fucking head. Look, trying to jump in front of bullets. That being said, the fucking O-line run blocking is suspect as a motherfucker. I'm really concerned about it. The pass blocking is outstanding. I mean, there were several plays yesterday where Phillip Rivers was literally just standing back there looking all over the field all day. He had all day. But man, the run blocking is kind of suspect. They're not really popping off good runs at a consistent clip. Not as well as I expect them to, and not as well as they did early last year in particular. Some of it might be, again, Taylor, who's still learning, still getting his vision adjusted to the NFL game, still learning the offense and all that. Some of it might be that, but still, I mean, I'm just not seeing a lot of decent holes in there. So I hope to see that get better. Another thing that's really concerning, I mean, the fucking wide receiver core is going down like motherfuckers in the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan. When they're getting out the fucking U-boats or whatever you call those. I mean, motherfuckers is dropping like flies. We already lost Paris Campbell for most of the season, if not the whole season. And then yesterday, Michael Pittman went down, and we find out today that he had a fairly major injury, and he could be out until, week 8 or 9. So that's not fucking good. That's not good at all. This kind of underscores another thing that I kind of have to say. I feel like it's kind of bad. I really felt like, even though they drafted Michael Pittman, I felt like the Colts should have brought in another veteran wide receiver, proven veteran wide receiver last year. I know you may say, well, they don't fucking grow on trees, but there was some out there. Somebody taking a chance on somebody like Allen Robinson, that would have been the way to go, because, this is really bad, particularly since you have to take into account the third bad thing, and that is that my man T.Y., one of my favorite Colts players of all time, he's no longer looking dominant. Now, maybe he'll have he'll break out here. He had a good game yesterday. He had a decent game yesterday, but and maybe they were rolling coverage to him or doubling him or whatever. I wasn't watching that closely, but it just seems like he's not able to get open the way he did before. Now, maybe some of that has to do with Phillip Rivers getting rid of the ball so quickly. But man, like now we're down to T.Y., I think DeReese Fountain, 14, Zach Pascal, who's solid, but I mean, thank God for Mo Alley Cox. And it'd be nice to get Trey Burton back too, because man, that wide receiver core is getting hit hard. Now, the last thing I'm going to say about that's in the fucking bad from yesterday, fucking Rodrigo, dude, if you listen to this, bro, dude, you gotta stop fucking with them Legos and fucking Civil War enactments and all that shit. Like, spend a little less time on that and put some extra time into your fucking targeting, bro. Cause like you getting to the point where it's becoming a thing. It's becoming a thing to be concerned about. Missing field goals, 41-yard field goals, and you just like off, hitting the upright. Here's the thing, dude. I mean, it hasn't hurt us yet, but if you miss a fucking field goal and it costs us a game, they might be getting Chase McLaughlin back on the horn, bro. Like you won the job for now, but particularly for a place kicker. I mean, that's all you do is kick field goals and kick off, man. So, like, you got to fucking deliver when you're out there. When it's a makeable kick, you got to make the fucking kicks, bro. We can't afford to lose any games like we fucking did last year from you missing, chip shot kicks and shit like that. So, again, man, back up off the fucking Legos a little bit and work on that shit, man. You got to be reliable. You got to be reliable as a kicker. Like I said, that's all you do. So, again, there was some bad yesterday, but for the most part, yesterday it was fun as fuck to watch, and especially at home. Like people are like, oh, it wasn't a quality opponent, man. Fuck that. Every team can beat you. As you saw yesterday, Sam Darnold made some bonehead throws. He missed some throws, but he made some fucking plays yesterday too. And their defense made a few plays. So you can fucking get beat any day. Any team's capable of beating you. So when you fucking win and you win in a blowout fashion, fucking be happy with that shit. Don't don't look a gift horse in the mouth. As a old mentor of mine used to always say, stop wanting what you don't want. All right? Don't be, I want to see, we want tight game. Fuck that. Give me a blowout every time as long as my team wins. But let's tackle this question. Because we're 3 games in. The last 2 have been convincing wins. But over trash opponents, at least at this point, they look like trash. Remember, yesterday, the fucking Vikings went out and, took the Tennessee Titans to the wire. Probably should have beat the Tennessee Titans. Put up 30 points on them. We're right in the game. So, are they bad or good? We're the only team that completely demolished them so far. So, anyway, we got to ask ourselves, though, for the sake of this podcast and being 100% bullshit free, are the Colts lucky? Are they just lucky or are they actually good? Well, we do have to acknowledge, the 3 opponents they've played so far, for the most part, they've been more ass than Kim Kardashian. You know what I mean? I mean, like the 3 opponents the Colts have played have a 1-8 record. And, I mean, you are what you are. So, you can't really deny those ain't fucking good teams, at least not at this point. That being said, it is still early. So maybe those teams, the Jets had a fucking shit ton of injuries yesterday. I mean, these teams might not be as bad as they appear, just early in the season, etc. That being said, it still being early also works against us a little bit because the Colts have only played 3 games. So they're 2-1. They've looked great the last 2 games, but it's still early. It's only 3 games. So too early to really say they're good just yet, particularly after what we saw last year, which is a fucking team that could barely beat the, Denver Broncos and got blown out by the fucking Jags, embarrassed by the Jags, and then lost to Miami. So, again, we need to see more of this to be sure of whether, before we start saying, yeah, this is a good team, really good team. And we also need to see them against some really good opponents. All right, let's keep it 100. They ain't played anybody yet. Now, we get a chance to see him against Green Bay. We get a chance to see him against Houston, who, I mean, even though Houston's 0-3, Houston's still a solid team. We get to see him against, I think they play the Saints again this year. I could be wrong on that. I forget. But I know they got a fucking murderer's row coming up, particularly in the second half of the season. They got to play Baltimore. So, they got to play the Steelers. So when we get a chance to see what they look like, I think in particular, the two games against Tennessee are going to be really telltale, because Tennessee is one of those teams, there's nothing flashy about them. They're not explosive, so to speak. So they're not a team that wows you with talent or anything. But what they are is a team that doesn't beat themselves. They're a team that makes plays, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. They're well coached, and they've developed a knack for winning, close games. So they're a good team. I mean, they were in the fucking conference finals, AFC conference championship game last year, and they were running with the Chiefs for a while. So I can't wait to see that. That's going to tell us a lot as to whether is this shit just smoke and mirrors, or they just getting lucky, catching teams that are injured, catching teams not playing well, catching bad teams. But, look, they're playing with confidence. They're playing with confidence, and they are making plays. Like, you can't fake pick sixes. You can't fake interceptions. You can't fake 3-4 sacks in a game. And, the Colts themselves, let's not forget, are missing some players, missing impact players. Paris Campbell has not played for the last game and a half. Kamiko Toure, who there is really, I think, going to make them dangerous if he comes back and is himself pass rushing on that end. Kamiko Toure hasn't played yet. Trey Burton, the tight end that everybody was raving about in training camp that they signed. We haven't seen Trey Burton play yet, right? Mack is gone. That was going to be our running back. We was going to have the 1-2 thunder and lightning punch with Mack and Taylor. And so Taylor's a rookie, So, like you can make the excuse of injuries for other teams, but the Colts are fucking injured. Colts got a lot of fucking injuries. They've lost starters. So, can't take that from them. Also, the two safeties in their back-to-back games, when's the last time that's fucking happened? Like, a safety doesn't happen. You don't just meander into a fucking safety. You feel me? Two safeties in back-to-back games? Two pick sixes in the same game? I mean, they're holding teams at like 170 yards passing per game in 3 games. And I mean, these fucking ain't high school teams. These are fucking NFL teams. This is not just smoke and mirrors. There's something there. You feel me? They had a 100-yard rusher and a 100-yard receiving tight end last game in the same game. Phillip Rivers is like completing 78% of his passes. Okay? So, they've blown out 2 teams. 2 of their 2 victories have been blowout victories. And again, lest you say, oh, well, look who they're playing. Okay, but they fucking lost these kind of games last season. Not much less blowing out a team. Look, one of the marks of a good team is when you play a team that you should blow them out, you blow them the fuck out. You don't fucking wrangle with them and have to, pull the world's greatest sideline pass out of your ass and then kick a 52-yard field goal with no time on the clock to beat fucking Denver by a point. You feel me? So good teams take care of fucking business. And so far, Discounting that first game against Jacksonville, which, let's be honest, they should have won, and they were in control of it in the first half. They let down and got sloppy, lackadaisical. But, like, by all rights, they should be sitting at 3-0 right now and having gotten there fairly impressively. So, I always say, I've been watching football for a long time, and one thing is for certain. You don't really know who the fuck any team is until they play their sixth game. Once a team has 6 games in, you pretty much know what's going on. So there's teams in the NFL right now people think are great that are not going to make the playoffs. There's teams right now in the NFL people think are trash that might make the playoffs. That shit's going to all settle into who's who by game 6. But at this point, halfway to that point, the Colts look pretty fucking good. And like I said, they're still on the way up because the offense still hasn't played an outstanding game yet where everything was really clicking and they were, converting their third downs. They started off really strong like that against Jacksonville. And, they've been, I don't know if I'd say quite uneven over the last 2 games, but they haven't been completely in sync, even though they've looked really good at times. So, at this point, we can't really say whether they're lucky or good, but what we can say is it's more likely that they're good right now than that they're just lucky, based on not being 2-1, because fucking Chicago's 3-0. And they're one of the worst 3-0 teams I've seen in a long ass fucking time. So not just because the Colts are 2-1, but the way that they've done it, the way they've reached 2-1, the way they've looked doing it. Okay, the plays they've made are encouraging for sure. So if they keep on, if they're able to prove that they can consistently play like this, and as they begin to get people back, they become better and better. If they're peaking towards the end of this season, if this is not their peak, then we might be in for a fucking special season. I hope the fuck we are. Because the truth of the matter is, the NFL is treacherous, crazy. You never know what's going to happen, who's going to get injured, right? Who's going to fucking quit in the fucking 4th preseason game midway through. Fucking Andrew, bitch ass Luck, I'm looking at you. And I say that kind of jokingly because I was a big Andrew fan. Like, I loved this game. But, dude, that was some bitch shit. You know what I mean? That was some bitch shit, the way you did that. I mean, I'm not mad at you that you quit. I'm a little mad at you that you quit. But I'm saying, all right, you got to do what you got to do. The fact you quit is fucked up, but the way you did it, come on, bro. Come on, son. That's that bullshit. But anyway, like I say, you never know what's going to happen in the NFL, so you got to fucking go for it right now, this game, this season. Try to win that bitch. Go for it. Because next year, more than any other league, ain't shit promised for next year. So, at this point, they're looking more good than lucky, and that's a good thing. Let's hope they can go and take care of business in Chicago and finish out this first quarter 3-1, and they will be in good shape. At any rate, I will see y'all in the next podcast. As always, you know how we get down. We're going to keep it 100 here. We're not going to blow smoke up anybody's ass. We're not going to call up, down, and down, up. We're going to call it the way it the fuck is. 100% straight, no chaser, bullshit free. So I want to thank you for listening. As always, let me know in the comments below if you agree with me, you think the Colts are lucky, you think they're good, or you're not sure. Let me know. Let me know if I missed anything in the game that was important that I should have covered. And let me know what you think is going to happen in Chicago Sunday. As always, I will see y'all in the next one. And as for the Colts, as always, you know my message to y'all. Let's go get another fucking Lombardi, baby. Peace.